Good morning, Birmingham Unitarian Church. Welcome to all, whether you're visiting us for the first time or have been here many times before. Whether you're joining us here in the sanctuary, remotely via Zoom, or watching this recording later, it's good to connect with you. Today, children will be with us in the sanctuary for a story before heading to their activities of the morning. The family room, located just to the left at the back of the sanctuary, with audio of the service piped in, is open for parents and children. Care is also available in our nursery on the lower level for infants and children through age 5. By greeting our virtual neighbors, we build a bridge between online and in-person participants. First, we'll project on our screen the image of folks who are currently with us on Zoom. And if you're comfortable doing so, please turn on your camera and give us a wave. Now we who are gathered here in the sanctuary are invited to turn and face the camera in the back and give the folks on Zoom a wave. Coffee and conversation will follow the service in Hodes Hall, which is located to the left as you exit the sanctuary. Today we're celebrating May birthdays, so if your birthday is in May and you'd like to come up and join in the celebration, please do so. Our newcomer table is a place where visitors and newcomers can meet and chat with members of the congregation and with each other, and all are encouraged to drop by that table. Just look for the colorful sign. And there'll also be an opportunity for virtual coffee hour on Zoom immediately after the service ends. Wherever, however, and wherever, and whenever we connect with BUC, we are building this beloved community.
Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life.
Please rise now in body or in spirit and join in singing with heart and mind. we gather in religious community, celebrating the gifts of life, recognizing our part in the greater wholeness, lifting up those things that are worthy of our consideration, learning to be our best selves.
We invite parents Crystal Berner and John Geisler, and Monica Vogel and Jimmy Vogel to come forward with your children to be dedicated and blessed. And for all of our other children joining us this morning, if you want to come forward, you can have a seat here in the front row or even up here on the steps of the chancel.
In this ceremony, we recognize both possibility and responsibility that are born with every child. The possibility and hope that the world may be enriched by their lives, and the responsibility and challenge with which each of us are charged to provide guidance and nurture for the children for whom we hold the future in trust. And I would suggest that you come up here and turn to face those people so they can all see the babies.
Crystal and John, what have you named this child? Finley Killian Geisler. Your parents chose your name to carry the heritage of your family and to signify your unique identity. They chose your very Irish name, as both of your parents' ancestors are Irish, and they had their honeymoon in, where was it? Drogheda, Ireland. Your parents hope that you will make the world a better place by being a loving, compassionate human. We also hope that you will be involved in music, like both of your parents. Monica and Jimmy, what have you named your child?
Avery Rose Vogel.
Avery Rose Vogel. Your parents chose your name to carry the heritage of your family and to signify your unique identity. In true engineering fashion, they started with a spreadsheet of favorite names, then used their musical ears to choose a few with just the right flow of syllables. But they couldn't make a final decision until they saw your face for the first time. Your parents hope that you will always feel supported and loved, and that you will find joy in whatever you choose to do.
Finley and Avery, we give you each a rose, symbol of our hope that just as this flower unfolds in beauty, so too will you grow and blossom and reach a fullness of spirit that will bring joy to you and to those who care for you. We dedicate your lives to all that is real, loving, and good. We wish for you a life full in faith, strong in courage, rich in affections, and radiant in hope. May your life be filled with adventure and increased by wisdom. And parents, some questions for you. And I trust that you'll be able to say yes to all these questions. Do you commit yourselves to be as wise and loving as you are able, so that your child will have instruction and benefit from you?
Yes, we do.
Do you promise to help your children find their own special strengths to face the world and to live bravely and well?
Yes, we do.
As parents, you have the joyful, difficult, and sacred responsibility to teach your child the ways of the world, the meaning of love, the worth of individuality, and the courage of growth. Do you accept and embrace this charge?
Yes, we do.
You who are dedicated and blessed today are part of a community of children, youth, and adults who can be part of your lives as you grow up. And so, for a question for the children and youth and young at heart who are present, if you promise to play and learn with these children as they grow up, please say, "Yes, we do."
And just as we as a congregation dedicate these young lives to humanity and to all that is good, we dedicate ourselves to these children and to all the world's children. Now please join in reading the words projected on the screen.
To you, parents of these children, we pledge our support. To you, the young lives before us, we pledge our caring, our wisdom, and our trust. We bless you and your presence among us. We promise to keep your hearts open to you and to do our best to see and hear you truly. On this day, we rededicate ourselves to building a world ever more worthy of your gifts of life and hope. Our story today is another classic Kobe Yamada story, and this one is called Caring. I wasn't exactly sure where I was, but suddenly everything around me was lush and alive. What is this place? I wondered. As I wandered around, a voice called out to me, "Hello there, how can I help you?" The most fascinating person was standing in front of me. She had birds perched on her shoulders and fluttering around her head. Her hands and clothes were covered in dirt. I thought to myself, I want to be happy like that. Can you believe this place? I marveled. I've never seen anything like it. It's so beautiful, it hardly seems real. The gardener humbly replied, "Well, thank you." "You did all of this? How is that even possible?" She shared, "Little by little, one thing builds on another. Little by little, small things become something bigger and more. I certainly didn't do it alone. I had the bees and the butterflies, the birds and the animals to help. And of course, the most important work was done by the plants and the trees. It's amazing what a little caring can do. And it's quite extraordinary when you care an awful lot, what a big difference you can make." When I first saw this land, the gardener sighed, it was barren and scarred. It hurt my heart. Wherever I looked, it seemed to be broken and dying. It felt like everything was covered in sadness. I couldn't stop thinking about it. It seemed so wrong, the gardener continued. I wondered why no one seemed to care and why someone wasn't doing anything to help. Then I realized I was someone. I cared. I decided I was going to do something about it. That was decades ago, and I've been doing this work ever since. How did you know you could do it? I asked in amazement. I didn't, she admitted. For years, I wasn't sure if I was helping much at all. It seemed pretty hopeless. The problem was huge, and I was just me. But I believe we can't be indifferent to things that matter. I had to try. Yes, but this must have been so much work, I marveled. Did you ever want to quit? Sure, the gardener conceded. Many times I thought about giving up. Some days were especially tough. But when my body feels tired, I rest. When I worry about the world with its immense problems, it can make me feel small and powerless. But then I come here. I help good things grow, and I am reminded that I do matter and that I can make a difference. More than anything else, what I am growing is love. I think we all grow and spread love throughout our lives, in the way we act, by choosing to help when needed, and by being there for each other. I care deeply about this place. I like to think of it as a living invitation, she shared. My hope was to create a place where all kinds of beings could feel welcome, and I'm thrilled it is now a home to so many. The gardener gave me a few seeds so I could try growing them at home. I was thrilled, and I planted them right away. I watered them, I watched them, I cared for them. Day after day, I looked for any sign of life, but nothing happened. Doubt crept in, and I worried if I did something wrong. Then one morning, I noticed a small little sprout poking through the soil, and I was so excited. But where were the others? I questioned nervously. I watered, and I waited some more. Days passed, and nothing new came up. I went to talk with the gardener about the seeds that never grew. She consoled me and explained, unfortunately, not everything we want works out the way we want. It can be disappointing, but sometimes life doesn't meet our expectations. The day doesn't always unfold the way we had hoped. People don't always do what we want or expect, and sometimes seeds don't sprout. But for all the things that don't work out, she continued, there are many others that do, and they can exceed our wildest hopes and expectations. In fact, she opened her arms, gesturing all around her. They can turn out even more spectacular than we could have ever imagined. We all have the potential to stretch and to reach for the sky, she assured me. We just have to take care of each other and believe it is possible. Everything is connected. When you do something good, the gardener stated, you never know how it might speak or inspire more good things in others. Take this tree, for instance. As glorious as it is, it's not just a single tree. It's part of a much larger living community. It has fed and sheltered more animals than I can count. And those animals have gone on to benefit other plants and animals. And those in turn have benefited even more. It's like that with people too. We are all part of each other. And we all have the power to spread goodness. It's impossible to know how far a single act of generosity or a gesture of kindness can help, she pondered. We may never know who it helped or how much it mattered. As the gardener looked around, she stopped and reflected. Many of the trees I'm planting today, I most likely won't see grow big and tall. Does that make you sad? I asked. A little, she said softly, but mostly it fills me with happiness. I love to think of all the things these trees will look over, all the lives they will touch, and how much they will be needed in the years and centuries to come. It feels so good to know, she gently smiled, that I was able to play a small part in their story. I still think about the gardener every day. Her words and her deeds planted so much hope in me. She showed me that every moment is a chance to impact the future. And when we dare to imagine bright possibilities, we are helping to create them. And now I know, with love, hard work, and caring, a better world is possible. Let's get started. And with that, we'll have our children and youth meet us in the pavilion as we head off to our activities for the day.
The mission of Birmingham Unitarian Church is to be a free and welcoming religious community that encourages lives of integrity, learning, service, and joy. One way we live out this mission is by giving half of our weekly offering to a nonprofit organization that shares our values and addresses needs in the community. To suggest a nonprofit for this donation, please check the BUC website under Justice to find the application form. Our plate sharing recipient for May is Community Aid for Empowerment, or CAFE. CAFE supports our Oakland County immigrant neighbors and empowers our community by informing us of our constitutional rights, providing mutual aid to our immigrant neighbors, advocating local governments for sensible immigration policies, and a neighborhood watch to hold ICE accountable. Many of us attended a presentation by CAFE in January and have since become involved. The ushers will now receive this morning's offering, given and received in a spirit of generosity and gratitude, and dedicated to the good work of CAFE and this congregation.
Blessed is the person who feeds and warms, washes and comforts a child, and soothes them in illness, for they shall be called caregiver. Blessed is the person who gives shelter and food, clothing, toys, books, and tools, for they shall be called provider. Blessed is the person who opens doors in the child's experience, who explains the puzzling and wonders at the mysterious, for they shall be called teacher. Blessed is the person who shields a child from that which will wither or warp, who protects a child from abuse and exploitation, who guards against bullying and scorn, for they shall be called defender. Blessed is the person who takes time to listen, who is there for a child in the darkness, who is aware of the fears, who speaks the words of encouragement in moments of despair, for they shall be called sustainer. Blessed is the person who guides a child in the search for beauty, who encourages them at what is daunting, who steadies them as they explore new experiences, who fires their aspirations and their dreams, for they shall be called inspirer. Blessed are all these persons who help bring a child along the many paths to maturity, for in them is the future well-being of humanity. We hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows. As we joyfully celebrate Mother's Day and honor those who have mothered us, let us remember, too, that this is a difficult day for those who have lost mothers, those who have lost children, or those whose mothers or children are absent. The joys and sorrows of the congregation that are shared with us this morning are these. From Keith Ensroth, Mary Gowell Ensroth and I are celebrating our 45th wedding anniversary. And Keith says, Mary continues to be the best person in my life, and he's looking forward to many more years to come. From Larry Larson, a joy, happy Mother's Day. He says, I loved my mother and my wife, who was a great mother too. And I think this must be from Shannon Snyderman. Yesterday was the first day of the new Coming of Age Rites of Passage experience that we developed for our local Detroit and UU heritage. It was so much fun hanging out with Finn and Marina all day. A huge thank you and shout out to Lily and Dean for making the experience richer with deeper connections to our community, and to Dave Graham for always being up for an adventure. We remember those experiencing losses and those facing health challenges. We pray in whatever way we pray for all those affected by war, by hatred and violence. We pray for peace. The cares of the world are many. Even when the cares of the world weigh on us, may we find joy in our connections with each other and in the pleasures that life holds. Let us take care of one another and ourselves in all the ways we can. Let us make this a safe and welcoming place for all. And as we hold each other in our hearts and minds with all our joys and all our sorrows, whether spoken or unspoken, let's take a moment to be quiet together. Now please join in singing Filled with Loving Kindness.
This reading is taken from a text on general semantics published in 1921. The author analyzes the differences among the classes of life labeled plants, the class labeled animals, and the unique animal, the class labeled human. The plants have a very definite and well-known function, the transformation of solar energy into organic chemical energy. They are a class of life which appropriates one kind of energy, converts it into another kind, and stores it up. In that sense, they are a kind of storage battery for the solar energy. And so I define the plants as the chemistry binding class of life, or energy binding if you prefer. The animals use the highly dynamic products of the energy binding class, the plants, as food, and those products, the result of plant transformation, undergo in animals a further transformation. And the animals are correspondingly a more dynamic class of life. Their energy is kinetic. They have a remarkable faculty to move about in space. And so I define animals as the space-binding class of life. And now, what shall we say of human beings? Like the other animals, human beings bind energy and do indeed possess the space-binding capacity but over and above that, human beings possess a most remarkable capacity which is peculiar to them. I mean that capacity to summarize, digest, and appropriate the labors and experiences of the past. I mean the capacity to use the fruits of past labors and experiences as intellectual or spiritual capital for developments in the present. I mean the capacity to employ as instruments of increasing power the achievements of all precious lives of past generations. I mean the capacity in virtue of which the human is at once the heritor of the bygone ages and the trustee of posterity. And because humanity is just this magnificent agency by which the past lives in the present and the present for the future, I define humanity to be the time-binding class of life.
As the 1921 text on general semantics so quaintly and so aptly put it, the human is at once the heritor of bygone ages and the trustee of posterity. This, for me, is the essence of generativity. We take what we are given or what we can find, we make something more of it, and we pass it on. Parenthood can be one form of generativity. It can be said that mothers generate children. Yet, generativity is not synonymous with parenthood, and parenthood is not the only way to be generative. The psychologist Erik Erikson coined the term generativity in 1950 to describe the defining psychosocial feature of midlife, a time when people are most likely to be concerned about the well-being of future generations, he said, and involved in various life projects, from parenting to political action, aimed at generating a positive legacy that will ultimately outlive the self. As I'm looking ahead to my retirement, which I'm finding increased comfort in actually saying out loud and even thinking to myself, I'm looking for a new mission and maybe even a new mission statement, because in Erikson's lexicon, the alternative to generativity is stagnation. I don't want to stagnate. Generativity seems an attractive goal, at least in contrast with stagnation. Dan McAdams, who was a professor with Northwestern University School of Education and Social Policy, describes generativity as the concern for and commitment to promoting future generations through parenting, teaching, mentoring, and generating products and outcomes that aim to benefit youth and foster the well-being and development of individuals as social systems that will outlive the self. Further, notes McAdams, generativity is a critical resource that may undergird social institutions, encourage citizens' contributions and commitments to the public good, motivate efforts to sustain continuity from one generation to the next, and initiate social change. McAdams quotes Plato, who noted more than 2,000 years ago, products of generativity include works of art and ideas. The products of generativity help to assuage the human desire for immortality. One theorist expanded on Erikson's idea of generativity to distinguish among 4 different forms. In biological generativity, adults beget, bear, and nurse their offspring. The generative object is the infant. In parental generativity, adults nurture and discipline offspring, initiate them into family traditions, and continue to support, guide, and protect, teach, and advise them through their adolescent years. The generative object, thus, is the child. In technical generativity, the adult teaches skills and offers instrumental training to those who require these competencies for successful adaptation to the world. The generative objects are both the skill itself and the apprentice for the skill. Finally, in cultural generativity, the adult creates, renovates, or conserves a symbol system, the mind of a culture, and explicitly passes that system on to the next generation. Here, the generative objects are the culture itself, its institutions and ideas, as well as those disciples or students to whom culture is transmitted. It has been suggested that generative adults function as society's keepers of the meaning. As Antoine de Saint-Exupéry expressed, in a house which becomes a home, one hands down and another takes up the heritage of mind and heart, laughter and tears, musings and deeds. Love, like a carefully loaded ship, crosses the gulf between the generations. Therefore, we do not neglect the ceremonies of our passage. When we wed, when we die, and when we are blessed with a child, when we depart and when we return, when we plant and when we harvest. We live not by things, but by the meaning of things. It is needful to transmit the passwords from generation to generation. One psychosocial theorist notes that in a fundamental sense, generativity is tied up with a society's overall conception of time. In that generativity refers to the creation of new forms that will outlive the self, generativity points to the future. In that generativity also refers to the maintenance, preservation, and passing on of that which has been valued in a given social context, it points to the past. In its linking of generations, notes Dan McAdams, generativity links past and future time. The church and any religious institution that is sustaining and sustainable is generative. As Erickson put it, they are concerned about the well-being of future generations and involved in various life projects from parenting to political action, aimed at generating a positive legacy that will ultimately outlive the self. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, one of our traditional values is to encourage our children to think for themselves. As our Unitarian forebear, William Ellery Channing, declared in 1837, "The great end in religious instruction is not to stamp our minds upon the young, but to stir up their own, not to make them see with our eyes, but to look inquiringly and steadily with their own, not to give them a definite amount of knowledge, but to inspire a fervent love of truth, not to form an outward regularity, but to touch inward springs, not to bind them by ineradicable prejudices to our particular sect or peculiar notions." Do we have peculiar notions? Perhaps. "But to prepare them for impartial, conscientious judging of whatever subjects may be offered to their decision. Not to burden the memory, but to quicken and strengthen the power of thought. Not to impose religion upon them in the form of arbitrary rules, but to awaken the conscience, the moral discernment. In a word, the great end is to awaken the soul, to excite and cherish spiritual life." In our ceremony of dedication and blessing of children this morning, you pledged to the children of this congregation, who belong to all of you, your caring and wisdom. You rededicated yourselves to building a world ever more worthy of their gifts of life and hope. You are the keepers of the meaning. You transmit the passwords from generation to generation. And thus may you be generative. Now I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing, "Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky."
Touch Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations.
May we live our lives fully and creatively so that we may be a blessing to ourselves, to each other, and to all those whose lives we touch. Please remain seated during the postlude.